August 18th, 1991. It's a Sunday. It's 4:50 in the afternoon, and Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev is at his vacation home in Crimea when four men show up unannounced. His Chief of Staff, Valery Boldin, First Deputy Chair of the USSR Defense Council, Oleg Baklanov, Communist Party Secretary, Oleg Shenin, and the Chief of the Soviet Army's ground forces, Valentin Varennikov. They brought along KGB General Yury Plekhanov. Gorbachev immediately senses something is wrong. He reaches for his phone, but the line is dead. The men present him with a document demanding he declare a state of emergency and transfer power to Vice President Gennady Yanayev. Gorbachev refuses outright and calls them what they are: treasonous blackmailers. His family is placed under house arrest. Both Gorbachev and his wife believe they're about to be executed, but the conspirators don't pull the trigger. Gorbachev's bodyguards stay loyal and manage to rig up a makeshift receiver so that he can monitor what's unfolding beyond the walls of his dacha. He gets word to Moscow, confirming he's alive and in control of his faculties. Back in Moscow, chaos erupts. By August 19th, tanks roll into Moscow's streets. Citizens immediately start confronting soldiers, pleading with them to disobey orders. Protesters mass around the White House, the seat of the Russian parliament, and begin throwing up barricades. At 12:50 p.m., Russian President Boris Yeltsin climbs onto a tank parked outside the White House. He denounces the coup and calls for a general strike.
Обращаемся к военнослужащим с призывом проявить высокую гражданственность и не принимать участие в реакционном перевороте. До выполнения этих требований призываем к всеобщей бессрочной забастовке.
Hours later, he issues a presidential decree branding the plotters as criminals and traitors. At 5 p.m. that same day, Yanayev and the other coup leaders hold a press conference. Yanayev claims the country has become ungovernable, but insists his friend President Gorbachev will eventually return to his post. He says Gorbachev is simply very tired and is being treated in the south. His hands shake visibly as he speaks. Yeltsin reaches out to Patriarch Alexei II of the Russian Orthodox Church, asking him to condemn the coup. Alexei agrees, criticizing Gorbachev's detention, and excommunicates everyone involved in the conspiracy. Up in Leningrad, Lieutenant General Viktor Samsonov declares himself chairman of the city's State of Emergency Committee and places it under military control. But Leningrad's mayor, Anatoly Sobchak, flies back from Moscow with help from KGB agents opposed to the coup. He rallies the opposition and convinces soldiers to hand over officers who organized the takeover. In the process, he wins over Samsonov himself, who promises not to deploy troops into the city. Meanwhile, in Moscow, elite tank regiments defect and take up defensive positions around the White House. On August 20th, the following day, Yeltsin issues another decree asserting control over all military, KGB, and security forces operating on Russian territory. US President George H.W. Bush calls Yeltsin directly, assuring him that normal relations with Moscow will only resume once Gorbachev is back in office. That night, fighting breaks out between troops and demonstrators near the White House. 3 protesters are killed, but the expected assault on the building never comes. Orders from the coup leaders are being ignored across the board. By August 21st, the Communist Party Secretariat demands a meeting between Gorbachev and Yanayev. The coup collapses. The plotters are arrested while attempting to flee. The USSR Supreme Soviet reinstates Gorbachev and voids all decrees issued by the Emergency Committee. Yeltsin declares that all Russian enterprises now fall under his government's authority. The following day, August 22nd, Gorbachev and his family return to Moscow. Several conspirators take their own lives, though rumors spread that at least some of these deaths were actually retaliation killings. Anatoly Plekhanov, Gorbachev's friend since their university days, is identified as the chief ideologist of the junta. He denies involvement, but resigns and is arrested shortly after. Yeltsin bans party organizations in all military units on Russian territory and celebrates with a massive rally in front of the Russian parliament. A huge statue of the founder of the KGB is toppled in downtown Moscow, symbolizing the KGB's fall from grace. The same night, Gorbachev gives a press conference wherein he states that he would purge the party of its reactionary forces. A few days later, he resigns as General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. The coup was the culmination of a conflict between old and new political, economic and social orders that had been building since Gorbachev took power in 1985. His reforms, perestroika and glasnost, set forces in motion that were bound to collide at some point. There had been high-level resignations throughout the previous year, and rumors of an imminent coup had circulated all summer. Most significantly, the failed coup delivered the death blow to the Soviet Union. The Communist Party had been losing influence at least since Gorbachev began his reforms in 1985, but the coup exposed just how hollow the Soviet apparatus had become. The Soviet Union's economic collapse during the 1980s had intensified ethnic tensions and fueled regionalism and nationalism across its satellite states. The coup simply accelerated the breakup of the Soviet Empire that was already underway. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel. You can also check out my other videos, such as this video about the greatest intelligence heist of all time, by clicking here. See you in the next video.